welcome everybody to another glorious episode of the Put On Waivers Podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here, 59 degrees today. A little, sweatshirt weather out here in Southern California. My partner is James Amato. He is podcasting on the beautiful shores of the Atlantic Ocean, where the weather's a little different. I like that hat, James. That San Francisco Giants hat just fits this sweatshirt so good. I like that.
Yes, if I'd known that, I would have thrown on a different team. So get back into baseball.
You surprised me with that one. I didn't expect to see that one.
Out.
For those who don't know, James is a collector of everything baseball. So he has jerseys and hats of all kinds. So your first time tuning into the program, you can reach us on that text line at 858-429-9465. All your baseball questions there. So by all means, come and talk to us. RTPOW podcast is our Twitter handle, and JR_Amato824 is James's Twitter handle. Shout out to Bourbon Raider and Eddie Diaz 661 for listening to the program. Some of the places that are listening to the Put On Waivers podcast is Sag Harbor, New York, Anchorage, Alaska, Santa Clara, California, Virginia Beach, Butte, Montana, and Moscow. They're all listening to the Put On Waivers podcast, which is pretty interesting. I know we had people listen to us in Moscow. It must be Putin Day or something. I don't know what's going on over there. Let's see if they've got to put some notes out there. We'll take it. No question about it. We have a guest on our show today. Very excited about having Jorge Colón Delgado on the show. He is the official historian of the Puerto Rican Roberto Clemente Professional League. And he is the author of 7 books and a short film. Jorge, thank you for joining us here on the Put On Waivers podcast. How's things in PR going right now?
Very good. 89 degrees temperatures.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
So we're good.
James lives in the Northeast, and he loves Miami. He loves Florida. So when this whole thing goes over, he'll try to get down there. I'm sure.
Okay.
I'm sure
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible. Yeah, exactly. First thing is Black History Month, and I know people do a lot of stuff on the Negro Leagues. But when I saw your Twitter handle, I saw the website and everything like that. How about that? The story of the Puerto Rican League and how influential that was to Negro League baseball and the stars of that league.
Well, Negro Leaguers came to play in the Puerto Rico Professional League since 1938, and it enriched our tournament. Because there were huge stars like Willard Brown, Leon Day, Satchel Paige, Joshua Gibson, and it was they liked Puerto Rico because here they were treated like kings, like human beings, and because we here never have had segregation. We have been integrated since the beginning of baseball in 1898. So they loved Puerto Rico and they were idols, and they felt very comfortable in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and Puerto Rico definitely has a rich baseball tradition. There was a story that Hank Aaron gave a lot of credit to that league as well too. I think Mickey Owen was the hitting coach who said that who gave him all these pointers on how to hit to the right side of the field, how to hit up the middle, how to pull the ball to left field. Can you talk about because he's he just passed, but his influence and him playing down there really, he said that he wouldn't even been able to be the hitter that he was if he didn't go down there and play.
Yes, but Hank Aaron came to Puerto Rico in 1953-54, that season, and he came as a second baseman, and he had problems with the defensive and offensively, and Mickey Owens, the manager of Caguas, changed him to the right field. It was here that he became a right fielder, and he led the league in homers with 9. He was third in RBIs with 42, third in batting with 322. And his first daughter was born in Caguas. So there's very tight links between Hank Aaron and Puerto Rico, and here it was the beginning of the right fielder that we know, the man that hit so much home runs. It began here in Puerto Rico as a right fielder.
Yeah. Your background now, what you start something because it's a passion, right? So how did you say, you know what, I have a love for this? What made you start the website, and what made you start all this research and putting this stuff out there about, Negro Leagues and Puerto Rican baseball as a whole?
Well, I was a little bit worried because every time they talk about the Negro Leaguers in the United States, they didn't mention Puerto Rico. They mentioned Cuba and mentioned Mexico. Mm-hmm. And I was once in a Society of American Baseball Research meeting, Congress in New York City, and there was a presentation of Joshua Gibson, and the person didn't mention Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. And I was a little bit worried because it was not their fault. It was our fault because we don't have English books. Only 2 of them written by Tom Van Heining. So we were way back. We were behind in that information to the United States. So now I began to research, and I had my numbers. And now with this, since December 16, that the Negro Leaguers became big. The Negro Leagues became big leagues. I said, this is the moment. Mm-hmm. And I made the web page, Negro Leaguers in Puerto Rico, Negro Leaguers Puerto Rico.com, and there you're going to find information on what happened in Puerto Rico with these Negro Leaguers.
That's cool. That's cool stuff there. There was one page before I throw it over to James where I guess Satchel Paige for between 1939 to 1940, 19 wins. Mm-hmm. And 208 strikeouts. Last time I checked, that's pretty good. I mean, that is pretty good. I mean, that is like from what some of the players were saying that he could if he could put the ball on, he'd fit the ball through a keyhole. Like that guy was really just. It's too. I mean, it's kind of the segregation really kind of really ruined MLB in a lot of ways because it didn't give him a chance to kind of go against everybody. But he was just phenomenal. I mean, and that time in Puerto Rico was really memorable. I mean, 208 strikeouts. That's amazing.
Yes, he was a huge star. And that year too, Joshua Gibson came to Puerto Rico as catcher of Santurce. So both of them played in Puerto Rico in that season. And Joshua Gibson, Satchel Paige got married in Guayama, mm-hmm. and he has a son. I have never met him. I'm trying to meet him. His name is Julio Page, and he's right now in New York, living in New York. And I'm looking forward to interview him. But Satchel Paige had a very tight link to Puerto Rico too.
It's amazing. James?
Yeah, hi. Honestly, it just feels like I've been following baseball since 1977, and I missed, I really obviously missed Roberto Clemente, but I just have always felt there's just this constant thread of Puerto Rican baseball players who are just really great, solid players, and it's you're right. It just seems like there's some overlooking of Puerto mm-hmm. Rican baseball players. You think of even Ivan Rodriguez, Orlando Cepeda. It's amazing how we just don't recognize them the way they should mm-hmm. be recognized, especially in this country, and the job like you guys do there in the love of baseball. Like the World Baseball Classic was just amazing with the games played down there. Now we have Francisco Lindor. One of my all-time favorite players is Bernie Williams, and I feel he just doesn't get enough recognition up here when it comes to what he contributed to the Yankees. I mean, how he's not, it's the core 5, if you ask me. He was really the rebirth of the Yankees. How is Bernie Williams looked at in Puerto Rico? How is he revered?
Well, well, we recognize he was a big star, but you said something very important. People in the United States have told me that they think that once they talk about Roberto Clemente, they cover up Puerto Rico. And that's one of the reasons, because we talk much about Roberto Clemente and don't talk about other players. And there's a lot. I agree with you. I say it in Puerto Rico, we have to talk of other players because they were great players and they deserve to be talked about. But it's very difficult because we have, since he died in 1973, constantly in the newspaper, in the radio, when he his debut in the big leagues, when he got married, when he signed with the Dodgers, when his 3,000 hits, when he died, MVP 1971, every year in that day, people and the newspaper and the radio programs talk about that, but they don't talk about other players. And it is sad because we have a rich history, and we don't know, we haven't learned to deal with that huge history. And we only talk about only one player, and it's sad.
Yeah, I mean, it would almost be like if we only talked about Babe Ruth in
Exactly.
the Major League Baseball, and if we only talked about Jackie Robinson in the Negro Leagues, and that's, it's a shame, but it's a rich history, like you said, of what Puerto Rican culture has brought to baseball, and just some amazing players. And I think it is time. I think we need a wing in the Baseball Hall of Fame to get that recognition. And I think some, major league teams need to step up and really give some recognition to what the contributions have been to the game over the years.
Yes, I agree with you. You name Ivan Rodriguez, when you have a catcher with 2,844 hits, almost 3,000 hits, that's big. And there are 33 players with 3,000 hits and no catchers, so that is very tough.
Yeah.
It's very tough.
And he could catch, which catchers can't do anymore.
In his position, he was a 5-tool player, and for me, the best ball player born in Puerto Rico, ball player, is Ivan Rodriguez.
Yeah, he was just incredible. And when him and Gonzalez were on the Rangers, it was just quite the back-to-back.
Yes. But that is something, now with the technology and all these programs, we can teach not only United States, the Americans, but teach Latinos that Puerto Rico has a rich history.
Yes, you definitely do. Definitely. Thank you.
Yes. You're very welcome.
So so Pudge was the best player. Who was, if you had to do a top three, who are you? I got helicopters going all over the place. Sorry about that. But if you had to do a top three, best Puerto Rican players, who would be that top three?
It would be, for me, Ivan Rodriguez, Roberto Alomar, and then Roberto Clemente, and very near Carlos Beltran. I think those are the top four players.
Beltran is under. I think Mets fans have a different feeling about Beltran because the call's third strike. But when you look at his numbers, especially in the playoffs and when he went with the Astros, he was phenomenal. He was phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah, probably one of the most overlooked players in that era.
Yes, and
even when he was Kansas City, what he did in Kansas City.
Yeah. Yes, and those four ball players, I think, are the best from Puerto Rico. But that's me, and people in Puerto Rico, they don't like that. They say that it is Clemente. So, but I have to tell the truth, I have to tell what I see in numbers and what I analyze, and I cannot be a fan. I have to be very impartial with my comments.
Yeah, no question about it. Hey, listen, thank you for joining us here on the On Waivers Podcast, our MLB show. Jorge Colón Delgado, thank you for joining us here. These are any, what's the website we can find you on, and also your Twitter handle?
Yes, my Twitter is J. Colón Delgado, and the page Negro Leagues Puerto Rico, NegroLeaguesPuertoRico.com. It is in English, so it's gonna you're gonna enjoy it. And then I have in Spanish Baseball 101. That's in Spanish, and that's all the records of the Puerto Rico Roberto Clemente Baseball League digitalized. So, and we have about 225 profiles, players, the most important players, year by year, their records.
Oh,
so there are two websites, one in Spanish and one in English.
All right. Well, we'll definitely check those out, and our viewers and listeners will do that also. Hey, thanks for joining us here, man. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.